Okay, so if you had followed my previous video, you would have upgraded your Angular app to the latest versions. But your code is still old. How do you convert your old code to modern Angular syntax such as standalone components, the inject function, the signal APIs? How do you do that? Well, you don't do it manually because most of them can be converted automatically. The Angular team provides several official schematics that you can use to convert automatically your code to modern Angular syntax. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly that. I'm going to follow it along with you on my Angular chat application as a real world example of how you can upgrade your Angular app to the latest versions. So I'm going to use here the Angular migration guide that I've created just for this purpose. It has checklists for running all of the schematics that you need. And this is part of the Angular upgrade bundle. And this is not the only helpful thing in the Angular upgrade bundle, but we also had the Angular version upgrade checklist, which we followed in the previous video to smoothly upgrade your Angular apps. And also it will have the pre-upgrade code for the Angular chat application. And also after the upgrading the Angular chat application, which includes completely converting your application to using all of the latest Signal APIs, such as the streaming resource API as well. Okay. So if you'd like to help this channel out and support me, you can actually get that from the link in the description. Any help that you give helps me sustain this channel. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. So we're going to follow the Angular migration guide, which I created for this purpose. And the first thing in that guide is to migrate to the standalone components. Now, standalone components were introduced in Angular version 14, I think, but now they have become stable and they have become sort of the standard to create Angular apps, modern Angular apps, because it really removes all of the complexity involved with ng modules. Now in our app, as you can see here, we have a huge app module here, which was the usual case before standalone. We need to convert this to use the new standalone components, and the Angular team provides a nice schematic for that purpose, which is ng generate Angular core standalone schematic. So let me just copy this here, and I'm just gonna paste this in my this and run this. Okay, so here we have three options. Now what are these three options? So it's recommended that we do the standalone component migration in 3 stages so that it covers all of the cases. So the first case is that we only want to convert the components and directives and pipes to standalone, and we don't touch the overall structure of the modules, okay? The second is we want to remove the unnecessary ng classes because in the future we won't need ng module at all. And then we bootstrap the application using standalone APIs. Now this one is the last step because it involves changing our initialization logic. And if you can see here in your main.ts, we use bootstrap module. Well, we need to convert this to bootstrap application instead. And that would be the last step that we do. Okay, so the first step then would be the first one, which will be convert all components, directives, and pipes to standalone. All right. So let me just run this up. It's asked which parts in your project should be migrated. I'm going to do everything. And just like that, it has migrated all of our components to this, or did it? So let us check this out and let us see what the issues are here. So, okay, so it says that it's giving errors here because in the app module, we don't actually need these components anymore. These have all been marked as standalone. Now let's go to the components and let's see. Yes, so we have, in fact, we don't have anything marked here. That means we don't have standalone false marked here. That means it is by default standalone, because in Angular version 19 or 20, I think, this became default if you don't use any standalone flag here. Okay, so our first step for the standalone migration is complete. Let's do the second step here now. So we're going to do ng generate Angular core standalone. And the second step is remove unnecessary ng module classes here, as you can see. So let's try this and let's migrate all of your code in the project. And you can see that it did not actually do anything, and that is because this is basically to remove the feature modules that you have. So now since in our case we only have the app module, we don't have the feature modules, so it didn't do anything. But if you have a large app or a medium app in which you use lazy loaded feature modules, it's going to remove that in this step. All right, so this step we didn't actually need to do anything. So let's go on to the last step then. Okay, so last step is bootstrap the application using standalone APIs. Okay, so let's try this one. Okay, so now it has deleted the app module and then it's also changed main.ts. Let's go in our main.ts and see what it has done. Okay, so you can see that it has added a providers list now because there are no imports when you do bootstrap application now, and you directly bootstrap the app component itself. Okay, so if you go to the app component, you can see that it has added all of the imports required for this automatically because it was part of the declarations for this module. And also you'll notice that it has added an import providers from. Now this is a sort of a way of achieving compatibility with the previous module based libraries. You can substitute it for all of the imports that you were doing in your earlier ng module. Now in our case, we actually don't need all of these things because all of these things now are part of our app components. We can remove a lot of these things. So let's remove all of the material related things because we actually don't need them. The reactive forms we're also already doing in this. For the app routing module, we are going to do it in some other way. So I'm going to show you that in a bit. Forms module we don't need. The hot toast module, we're going to let it remain as it is for now as well. The mat menu we don't need. The mat list, the mat input, the mat form field, autocomplete, and mat divider we actually don't need here. Okay, great. Okay, so for the app routing module, what we need to do is we need to do it manually. So what we're going to do is we are going to just rename this and we're going to say app.roots.ts file. Okay, and we're going to go inside of this and we already have the roots here. So what we're going to do is we are just going to do export default roots, and let's just remove all of these things from here and all of the unnecessary things that we have here. And we have our roots file set up, and here then we can remove the app routing. We don't need the app routing. We can use the provide routers function here, and then we can provide our roots inside of this. Okay, and this should work correctly. All right, so and we also don't need the browser module. And for the hot toast one, I want to go to the hot toast library here. So yeah, we do have provide hot toast config here, which we can give directly in the providers here. So provide hot toast config from nginit hot toast. So let's try this. So instead of hot toast module, we're going to do this. Okay, so it seems that we also need to upgrade our versions here. So the latest version for this is for Angular version greater than 17 is hot toast 7 and overview 6. So we are just gonna update these here. Hot toast 7 and overview 6. Okay, and let's save this. Let's install this. There are some compatibility issues with Angular core. So let's go along with it for now. We are going to update this later when the time comes. So we are going to do force for now, right? All right, because ultimately we need to get to a different package, which is the ng export one, not the ng neat one, because that is deprecated. So we're going to do that in later, but it's a sort of side functionality. It's just for notification. So we're just going to let this slide. Okay. So we can remove this from here. And now in the new package, you can see that we have provide hot toast config and ng hot toast, and we can actually just give this here. Okay, so we have got rid of the compatibility import providers from function here, and we can now just save this and we can test this out. Okay, so let's just test this out now, and we can see ngdev here. All right, and let's test this out to see whether our app works fine. Okay, our login page looks fine. Let's do this. Let's log in. Okay, so the styles for this is not working fine, the toast one. So let's go to our this here, and I think it needs some styles that we need to add in our styles.sass here. So let's try this out, and let's add these at the top here. Okay, let's save these, and now you can see it has this essay styled hot toast here. Okay, and everything else works as it should have. Okay, let's also try this. Yep, this notification works great. Let's change this to something. Yes. So, and let's go back to our profile here and let's send a message. Okay, let's send a message to Zen here. All right. So all of this seems to be working fine. Okay. So with this is completed our migration to standalone. Now we don't have any ng modules in our app, and this has made our code really modern. Okay, so we are done with standalone migrations here. Run and verify the app works, refactor any remaining code, especially module imports. Yeah, so I've done that. Okay, and if you want more information, you can actually go in on this link on this migration checklist, and you can actually find out more detailed information about what it does and how it does it. Okay, so next we need to run the control flow syntax, but as it happens, we have already run this as an automatic migration while migrating to Angular version 20. So we don't need to do that, but we do see an issue here that I'd like to show you as well. So if we go to the home page here, you're going to see a warning message more like, which I want to show you here. So you can see here that when we load the messages here, you can see we have the configured tracking expression. Okay, the configured tracking expression tracked by identity caused recreation of the entire collection. So this happens because we are given an incorrect track expression. Now, what happens when migrating from ng4 to the for control flow block is, let me show you. If we go to our home page and if we go in our messages section at the bottom here, So you can see we have for message of messages here, okay? And what happens in the control flow migration is that we need to have a track expression. So for the for control flow block, the Angular team made the track expression mandatory. So when we are migrating from ng-for to this, the script basically has to automatically find out which unique key to actually track your message on. Now this is really needed for performance reasons, and it really speeds up the rendering because it doesn't have to re-render things which have not changed, okay? So in this case, but in our message, it has actually, because it did not get any ID or anything like that, it has tracked the whole message here like this, okay? So if we go in our message here, we can in fact do it in a better way. So we have three things that are coming here. So sender ID, sent date, and text. So we can be assumed that the sent date basically is sort of unique. So we can actually use this, which would be a better way to do that. Okay, so let's save this, and now let's check this out. I just want to check whether we are getting that same error again. And you can see that we don't actually get that same error again anymore. So that thing is fixed. So some things you need to take care of here, and while you refactor your code to the new control flow block. And you can also manually inspect other control flow blocks in your code if you need to. Here, for example, you have user, so you can track user, but you can also track user.uid, which is the unique key for that. So this really helps you in your performance thing. Okay, so for the control flow migration, then you can, so we need to manually modify any incorrect track IDs being used in the control flow. Okay, and we also need to install the latest prettier version for correct indentation in the editor, because this is a big problem. If you look at the home component here, you can see that if you have nested ifs and fors, it sort of indents it really improperly. So this can be really easily handled by installing the latest prettier version. Okay, in fact, you can use force for now as well. Okay, yeah, so once you install this, you can try to format it again, and now you can see that your if and for control flows are basically very nicely formatted, so that it makes it easier for you to see in large HTML templates. Okay, you can do the same thing for the other components as well. So in your app component as well, and your login profile maybe. So in your profile one as well, you can do the same thing. So it's pretty nice. Okay, so this was the last thing, install latest prettiest, and this is all to do with the control flow syntax. Okay, now next let's move on to the modern inject function for DI, which is an alternative to using constructor-based injections. So let's try to run this, and let's run this here like this. But before that, let's also push our changes so that we can say standalone plus control flow. Okay, so let's commit these and now run this and generate Angular core inject, the same project. Now, do you want to migrate abstract classes? So we don't have any abstract classes, so I don't want to do that. Okay. Okay. Do you want option inject calls to be non-nullable? Yes. Okay, so now you can see that it has changed a lot of things. And if you go in, for example, app.component, you can see here in your code that you have all of these auth services, inject in this, and and now our whole project now has just the inject based dependency injection instead of the constructor based dependency injection. Let's push this and let's say inject function migration. Okay, great. So this was nice and simple. Let's this and let's verify if the app works. So yeah, that's one of the things that we need to do. So let's run the app here and then verify it again. Okay, so let's see if we can do the same thing. Yeah, so this is fine. Typically, you should not have any issue here because the dependency injection, the inject function is basically just an alternative for constructor-based injection. It should not actually affect any of the functionality here. Great, so I think it seems to work fine. Let's move on. Okay, so the next one is the Signal API. So it's not exactly converting everything to signals, so it's not going to convert your RxJS code to signals automatically, but it's going to convert your inputs, decorator-based inputs, outputs, your view queries, your content queries, and all of these things to using the signal equivalent of that. So let's just run these one by one. So we're going to do first ng generate Angular core signal input migration, and let's say you want to migrate as much as possible, even if it may break your build. So I'm going to risk this, but if you don't want to risk this, you can actually use the more safer option. Okay, so you can see that it didn't migrate any inputs because there are no inputs in my component. I'm using basically service-based pattern to communicate between the components, child components, and all of the roots. I actually don't use any presentation components in this case, but in a typical application, you will have those. So it's going to migrate those. All right. Next, we're going to use the other one. Now, I don't have outputs either, so I'm just gonna skip this because it's not going to. I want to run this one because I think I do have some view children here. So let's see if you want to run this one and does it make any effect. Yes. Okay, so yeah, it has changed home.component, and let's go in home.component to see what it has changed. So yeah, it had a view child query here, and it's the end of chat to scroll this. I'm using the view child query here. So you can see, yeah, this works. It has converted it, and it has also converted it to use it. For example, it uses this in the scroll to bottom function here. So yeah, it's using the signal equivalent of it. Now, obviously, we can refactor it further, and we are going to refactor it further into an effect because that makes it more sense. But it has made its best effort to keep everything working in the current structure while also migrating this. So this is also done. And after each migration run, we need to run the app. So let's just try out whether this works fine. So I'm just going to say ngdef here, and I'm just going to try out the scrolling functionality to see whether it works. Okay, so everything else works here. Yeah, so the scrolling also works fine here. Let's do hello here. So yeah, it scrolls to the latest one. And at the end of this, you can see that we have completed all of these, but there are some more migrations as well, which are there on the Angular Dev website here. And you can see that we have the lazy loaded routes here. Let's try this one out because this is nice as well. So let's just copy this, and I'm gonna go in my this here, and I'm gonna try to do the lazy loading changes here as well. And it has changed the app.routes, as you can see. And yeah, so you can see that it has used this load component now, which actually it uses the import function to lazy load this component. It can improve your performance by a lot if you have a large application. Okay, so this is migrated. And so these were all of the official Angular migrations that we could do. We also have self-closing tags, clean up unused imports, so you can try these out as well on the Angular website. I've specifically given this just for this purpose here in the Angular migration guide. Okay, but you get the hang of it, and our app now has relatively modern code. We have standalone components, we have the inject function, we have the control flow, we have the signal based input output and view queries. But there's also things remaining, like for example, I'm using observables here because in Angular 13 there were no alternatives, there were no signals. So as you can see, I'm also using the async pipe here, which was the recommended way to handle data reactively, and we were using everywhere. And I've used observables quite a lot. If you can see in my home component here, you can see almost all of the code is observable based. So I have made it really reactive instead of imperative. But we can actually refactor all of this to using signals. And in the next video, I'm going to show you exactly how we can convert this. We are going to convert this into using signals in the components first, because that is the first step. And because signals are meant to be used with templates, with your views. And then we are going to go on to our services, and we are also going to refactor our services here. We are going to use the streaming API, the new resource streaming API, to actually encapsulate all of our fetching functions, fetching the chat, fetching the messages for that chat, fetching the user profile information. So all of that we are going to do by using the new resource API, which is a really nice addition to the Signal APIs list. If you want to support the channel, you can get the Angular upgrade bundle from the link in the description. Do check it out if you are interested in migrating your own or upgrading your own Angular apps in your company or as an individual to the latest version. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.